The Walking Dead is an episodic game containing 5 episodes and was developed by Telltale games. It is one of my favorite video games I've ever played. There are a lot of problems which I intend to explore in this video. I will focus on the failed aspects because there are 2 sequels which should have improved on those. You may guess why I said should have. I will hopefully cover Season 2 and A New Frontier in upcoming videos. The Walking Dead will be split into 5 videos. Now, it's important to note that the game came out in April 2012 and subsequently released its episodes through November, which now makes it 5 years old. This means the game obviously does not hold up to next gen qualities, but I have no intention on giving it free leeway for that. As far as I could find, Telltale Games had around 50 employees at the time of development, but their budget wasn't above 2 or 3 million USD. With that in mind, the game turned out really great. This video is broken down into 4 sections: spoiler-free overview, story, gameplay plus summary. Time for each can be seen on screen if you wish to skip to a certain part. Note, this is my opinion and perspective on the game, although I try to see both sides of the coin and talk as objectively and logically as possible. So, I am not a writer of any kind, but as a person who has played thousands of games and played through this game 3 times, I can confidently say that this game at its core has a compelling story which is carried by 2 main protagonists, Lee and Clementine. It has enough of adventure type of gameplay interactions that help keep the player engaged in its environments as frequently as possible. This first season is the strongest out of 3 currently available, story and gameplay wise. Either way, you probably have already heard the praise and Game of the Year awards that this game has won. So yep, it's unique in its presentation and overall storytelling. A must buy if you're at least a tad bit interested in storytelling, as it will also scratch that The Last of Us itch. During sales it's around €6, so it definitely is worth it. Spoilers start here. So I will mainly focus on discussing the logic and execution in the story of The Walking Dead with a quick recap so anyone who has not played the game can understand what's going on. The first thing we see may be called a huge exaggeration of game's gameplay or a good thematic decision to support the game's narrative. Since the game relies on this idea to support its main theme, and Season 1 stays the most true to your choices matter mechanic, on which I'll expand later. The game starts off with our guy, Lee, en route to a prison in a police car because he's killed some asshole. The cop driving is an absolute idiot for plot conveniences, so that a car crash can happen, as he ignores the radio dispatch and police cars passing by.
You'll have to learn to stop worrying about things you can't control.
The game is trying to hide the fact that zombies, or walkers as called in the Walking Dead universe, are running wild and tearing shit up. Now I find this is an issue because the game is called The Walking Dead. It is based on a comic about zombies, and there is a popular TV show of same name with zombies. Even the game's trailers show zombies, so it comes off as a cheap reveal at the cost of being more cohesive.
Depressing and a bit more hilarious if I do say so. This other time.
What follows is that Lee injures his leg and walks with a limp for a full 15 minutes and it's forgotten for the rest of the game. Again, this inconsistency only happens because the intro had to have a zombie apocalypse reveal, since Lee simply had to experience an injury in such a failed crash. And this sometimes happens in the game. Stuff occurs out of the blue and is instantly forgotten, but it's not that often, and usually some sort of explanation can be thought of. Lee sees Clementine in the woods, who later goes back to her treehouse, although there is no ladder, as Lee himself points out.
No ladder. I'm not getting up there anyway, this leg the way it is.
You enter her house and get some information about the family. It's alright, and the music really complements it.
Coming in! Don't shoot, okay? Ah! Hello? I'm not an intruder. Or one of them. These people might need more help than I do.
3 new messages. Message 1, left at 5:43 p.m.
Hey, Sandra. This is Diana. We're still in Savannah. Ed had a little incident with some crazy guy near the hotel, so we had to get him back to the ER and have it checked out. Anyway, he's not feeling well enough to drive back tonight, so we're staying an extra day. Thanks so much for looking after Clementine, and I promise we'll be back in time before your spring break.
At 6:51 a.m.
Clementine, baby. If you can hear this, call the police. That's 911. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Daddy?
Huh?
The issue here is that you are allowed to explore the house yourself as you listen to the phone recordings, but once you pick up the walkie-talkie, Lee looks around and checks the house again in a cutscene, which makes no sense as the player already did that. Anyway, you can ask Clementine a few questions to which the player already knows the answer to because he listened to the fucking phone calls.
What's your name?
I'm Clementine. This is my house.
Hi, Clementine. I'm Lee. And you're all alone?
Yes. I don't know where anybody is. How old are you?
I'm, 37.
Okay.
Where are your parents?
They took a trip and left me with Sandra. They're in Savannah, I think. Where the boats are?
Are you safe?
I'm outside in my treehouse. They can't get in.
That's smart.
See? Can you see me? I can see you through the window.
A walker comes out literally out of nowhere because no corpse is present in the room. These are known as a common species of teleporting walkers, often met in this universe for the sake of the plot. Clementine comes to your rescue and a cool moment happens, where player's input causes a different reaction. You can keep bashing the walker's head in or stop, as Clementine will freak out.
Did you kill it?
Yes.
It's okay. I think she was a monster.
I think so too.
Then you choose either to go out at daylight or at night. Depending on the choice, the following scene changes, and if you choose to head out at night, a time skip occurs, and both of them climb out of the treehouse. Anything suspicious? The game breaks its own legs one more fucking time. There's suddenly a ladder Lee can easily climb up with his leg fucked up. I think such inconsistencies happen often because the developers always had one particular choice in mind, which they polish and just assume the player will go their route. Then Sean gets you to Herschel's farm, who magically heals Lee's leg. It's never brought up again, so there is no point on me mentioning it. At this point, you're allowed to be an asshole to Herschel, but again, it's inconsistent because Lee reacts to Clementine like an asshole without players' input later in the story.
Lee!
Yeah?
There's someone in there!
It's just locked. Key's behind the counter. Probably.
You can tell him your story, but not like it matters. Then there's a great moment with Clementine about duty, which only goes to show how amazing their chemistry is.
It smells like...
I know what it smells like.
duty.
The voice actors deserve a huge kudos. Lee has a flashback of his ex-wife, which never happens throughout the whole game. It's like the writers just wrote it in and forgot about it later. The following morning, you get to talk to some folks if you want to. Nobody forces you to do so, and it's up to the player which I think is great because you can just jump to the next story beat or explore a bit. Here we also meet the annoying child cliche Duck.
Dad, we're in the middle of a fence. There's a tractor and everything.
It's astonishing how the writers managed to write such a lovable and believable child like Clementine and then a complete tootie.
How you doing, Duck?
Good. I'm gonna drive the tractor. I'm the foreman. Lift with your back, Sean.
Duck doesn't appear or talk that much, so he's okay in the end. You talk to Sean and retarded pop-up appears. This guy is about to die, no matter what the fuck you do. The only thing they might have been going for is to make his death more unexpected, like he exists and remembers stuff just to die in the end. Either way, it's not as bad as some of the pop-ups in the third season. You then get a choice to save Sean, the guy that drove you here, or Duck, the cliche. You save Duck to be on Kenny's good side, since Sean dies anyway, and Herschel tells you to fuck off.
Get the fuck out of here!
Now this scene is alright on paper, but just look at this yourself. Kenny grabs his Duck, stares at Sean struggle, and runs away. Doesn't put the kid down and help out. He does nothing. I suppose this fits into Kenny's character, that he's ready to leave people behind for his people's sake. Well, fuck me. The guy is right there. Just give him a hand. Kenny takes you on a ride to Macon, Lee's hometown.
You've got that ride to Macon if you want it.
Here the group conveniently stumbles upon survivors conveniently set up in Lee's parents' drugstore. Coincidences are dumb, but let's go along with it.
Run! When I say that door stays shut no matter what, I fucking mean it.
This guy, Larry, gets all angry about Duck being bitten when there's no confirmation on so.
Holy shit. Son of a bitch. One of them is bitten.
He wasn't bitten.
Hell, he wasn't. We have to end this now.
Over my dead body.
Lee can step up for Kenny or side with Larry, a person who you don't know. Kenny has done you a favor so far, and there's barely any reason to go against him. This feels like one of those choices where it is obvious that the most players will be sane enough and protect Duck is there just to be there and offer some kind of replay value. Clementine goes to the bathroom anyway, even if you tell her not to.
What is it?
I have to pee.
I'd go out there again in a second.
In a minute, Clem.
There's some noise inside. Obviously, there's a walker in there who attacks her when the argument ends. So, what I'm getting is that Lily's dispatch group was here for some time and nobody went to the fucking bathroom. Or even better, nobody checked the place. This artificial drama to save Clementine is there at the cost of people looking like complete morons, which most of them are, with the exception of Doug and Glenn. Maybe Carly.
It's still not working?
Yeah, I can't figure it out. You fixed it.
But that's debatable. So, if you chose to protect Duck, Lee's delivery is absolutely amazing.
No! You don't touch that board! You don't touch anybody! I've got a little girl I'm trying to protect in here too. You want to get violent, you old fuck? Well, come on! You better have a plan to kill me though, because it's me before anyone else in here!
As I said, Clementine gets attacked, you save her with Carly's help, and Larry has a heart something and collapses.
Is that the military?
I don't know.
Thank God for whatever it is.
We almost died because of this bitch and her itchy trigger finger. That was stupid. That was...
Dad!
Everyone, even Kenny, who was ready to...
I'm gonna kill him, Cat. Just worry about Duck.
immediately agrees to help get nitroglycerin pills for this cunt.
Keep a good eye on him. These boys will work on getting you your medicine.
That's right.
And you keep an eye on that front door. You're our lookout.
What the fuck? Look, they're decent people, so that's why they agreed to help. But the cut from wanting to rip each other's heads off to everyone helping is obnoxious. This old fuck was about to throw a child to death, and now everyone's fucking happy and helping them out. In this segment, you get to walk around, do some stuff, and it's great. I really like these exploration moments, and we'll discuss these in the gameplay section. During these, there's basically always a joke somewhere, like you trying to open a padlock with a TV remote. I think this is so stupidly hilarious that it's a welcome moment. If the player is exploring, it means that the pace slows down, and you can relax, meaning these funny moments are well timed. It's up to you to choose such an approach to the padlock anyway, so it's laughable, because you already know that it's not going to work. At least teapot observation fits here as well.
I'd fill one of those teacups with some bourbon if I could.
The fact that the game never jokes when shit goes down means it knows when to take itself seriously.
Thank you.
After that, you get to be with Clementine, and the game simply fucking shines with these two on screen. It's interesting, genuine, and a nice moment overall. Clementine really acts like a small but smart kid. She's naive, lighthearted, and kind.
There was that thing in the bathroom. It tried to get me.
I know.
But you stopped it.
Yeah, I did.
Can you do that more?
Well, I'm not gonna go looking for them.
I mean, get the dangerous ones.
I'm gonna try.
Good.
Her being so likable pushes the player's wish to help her out and find her parents, even though it's pretty clear they're dead. Here's also where Lee comments on his parent, who also died, providing some nice backstory about his dad's cane.
What's that?
This was my dad's cane. He'd zip around here on it from time to time.
Was he sick?
Nah, he was okay. I actually saw him whoop shoplifters with it. This cane's protected this place better than any guard dog ever could. Plus, he knew how to make it look cool. Like you with your hat.
My dad gave it to me.
See, dads are smart like that.
He also rips himself from the family's photo, which in my eyes is a clear indication that Lee is a character on his own.
Why don't you want to talk about your family? Do they, like, hate you?
I wouldn't blame them.
Why? Did you fight? I fight with my mom sometimes.
We didn't fight. We just didn't talk for a while. Look, my family's gone, and I just wish things would have been different.
Yeah.
I got into a fight once.
And what happened?
And it ended really badly. After that, I wasn't allowed to talk to my family.
That's so sad.
So at this point, Carly busts Lee because she knows his past. It becomes more relevant in the second episode, but what she says now does not really make sense because she tells him the exact opposite in the second episode to reveal his secret to everyone. It's not really a secret if you think about it.
Find anything?
It's a photo of the family who own this place. Might help us track down the keys to the office.
I know who you are. You're Lee Everett. You're a professor at Athens who killed a state senator who was sleeping with your wife. This is your parents' store. Folks around town know the owner's son got himself a life sentence, but I'm a reporter for WABE in Atlanta. I paid attention to that trial. Maybe you're a murderer, but I don't really care. Frankly, that's a skill that might come in handy. Did you tell anyone out there who you were, or that you were tied to this place?
No, I've been sticking to first names for a reason.
You seem like an okay guy, and the last thing we need is drama out there. You've got this little girl to take care of, and look, don't make me wrong on this.
I don't plan to.
Good, because if this lasts longer than a few days, and you're a detriment to the group, then we'd have a problem.
I hear you.
I'll just keep it to myself.
Thanks.
Don't worry about it.
He has his own regrets and failures. The player is not directly Lee, but he's rather a character that we, as the player, get to influence in certain scenarios to determine his actions. This is where the idea of "are you a bad person" comes in, which is one of the game's themes.
Lee,
Yeah?
you're not bad, right?
Why are you asking me that?
That lady said you killed someone. Was that because he was one of the things trying to eat you?
No, he wasn't.
Oh. Was he bad?
He was.
This is an engaging concept, and there are quite a few inconsequential but thematic decisions that support that. How I see this is this. The player is here to either restrain or corrupt Lee, as he can become evil and a bad influence to Clementine, or somebody that everybody looks up to. The fact that Lee has already committed a crime before we took control of him supports this, because since the player was absent, Lee killed someone. It's clear that he's very kind at heart, since he decided to take care of Clementine without hesitation. This is a genius concept in my eyes, and goes to show how much care went into this game, as "play your way" seems to refer to overall thematic balance, even if it doesn't change the story's outcome in ways players might expect to. Now, after finding out the door to the storage room is locked, you have to go help Glenn and save some girl who kills herself no matter what you do. This worked perfectly on my previous 2 playthroughs, but on the most recent one the game bugged out and that I did not receive any word from Glenn over the walkie-talkie. He was okay for me because I knew what happened, but if it was my first playthrough, I'd be left wondering what in the fucking hell am I supposed to do? That's confusing. Either way, you travel to the motor inn, and the following sequence is good. It helps the gameplay a lot in my opinion. You still have to point and click on stuff, but it's presented and executed in an interesting manner. The way that the camera pans around, the creative kills, being stealthy, and working as a team really pulls one into the world and builds some atmosphere. You get the sense that the stakes are high if you screw up and have to use the gun, although you just die or fail if you screw up and the game restarts. This is one of the better gameplay action sequences in the game.
Rad.
The climax also reflects this idea of being a bad person, since Lee's presented with a choice: give Irene, this girl, the gun to shoot herself, or refuse. Both choices are equally fucked up, since Irene is bitten and leaving her to turn is horrific, but simply granting her death in front of our eyes is traumatizing, but less evil in the end.
You have a gun.
So?
Can I borrow it?
What do you mean, borrow?
Give it to me. I can just, end this, and then there's no problem.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Please! I don't want to be one of them. They're satanic.
Give it to her.
What?
We can't watch this. Let's go.
We can't go yet.
What? Why not?
Because somebody needs to pick up the gun. Can't leave it. You two go on.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You waste a bullet. So I guess that's some players might take into account. And That makes me think this choice could have had more consequence. Imagine this. If you give her the gun, she uses ammo, a precious bullet that could later save Carly when the drugstore is being overrun. Since she has the extra bullet, she's able to defend herself, and you can go save Doug instead. Thing is, Irene grabs the gun even if you refuse. That makes me believe that my theory is indeed canon, but I might be over-theorizing here. You get an axe from the trip, chop the lock down and go out to get the keys from your dead brother.
Hey, bud. I don't know what happened to Mom and Dad, but I know if you were there, you would have died for them. So, yeah, I'm gonna assume that's what happened.
Did you find them yet?
Give me a second.
I see this as a touching moment, even though the player did not get to know Lee's brother. At this point, I care enough for Lee to channel his feelings through myself. Once again, the game's score complements the moment even though it's not the first time we hear it.
Holy crap! Run!
The walkers probably heard the music too, so they suddenly stopped watching TV and went to chase Lee. You get into the storage room and an alarm rings. Once you enter the room, I honestly have no idea how an alarm like that works. It's probably called plot convenience. Shit goes down and you choose to either save Carly or Doug. At this point, both of them were useful in the group, and you get to know both of them, so it's a hard choice. The presentation of this scene is really blood pumping, and Clementine being scared in front of you simply makes it so much more engaging.
God.
Doug supporting those planks of woods looks really weird though. What follows is my most hated thing in the episode.
Son of a bitch!
No!
It's simply mind-blowing.
I'm not letting somebody else get eaten today. Especially a good friend.
And you cannot confront this old fuck. There's never any option, there's no consequence. This happens even if you side with him during the argument. The game just glosses over the fact that Lee almost died. Maybe this is so because you get another choice related to him in the second episode, but it's still fucking disastrous. It has no connection to this one. The game doesn't make a big deal out of it, but I'm pretty sure that any player would have plunged Lee's axe into this guy's skull as soon as the chance came up. Being back at the motor inn, you talk with people, discuss some stuff, and Larry tells you why he punched you.
I know who you are. And I don't give a shit about what happens to you. But if anything happens to my daughter or that little girl you've got with you, you watch your ass.
It's debatable whether the reason fits Larry's character. And Lee saved his fucking life with those pills. Larry shouldn't give a fuck, and he's just being a huge fucking asshole. Plus, the following lines he says doesn't make much sense to me.
But if anything happens to my daughter or that little girl you've got with you,
You wanted to throw a kid to the walkers, and now you're getting up for this girl you didn't even talk to. GG. Gunshots are heard in the distance, and Kenny comments,
I hope that's the sound of us winning this thing.
Me too.
This motor inn's pretty damn defendable. We block off the entrances with some cars, keep someone on watch. We could stay here until the military rolls through.
I actually agree with that plan.
Me too.
We got beds, we got water, and most importantly, we got light. There are worse places to call home.
Yeah, you're right. You know, guys, I think it's going to be okay.
Conveniently, as he says that, the lights fade out and the game goes to black. It's good. I loved playing it for the first time and didn't really mind all of those issues as I was too interested in Lee's and Clementine's story. It's that I simply wish they weren't present, since it is overall a good experience and a great starting episode for a great game. Before talking about gameplay, I really want to quickly examine the game's soundtrack. I am not an expert or a musician, but hear me out. The soundtrack is one of the most mesmerizing and memorable things. It has a core theme song, Alive Inside, of which remakes are played during specific story moments. This score becomes so memorable because of the motifs that reappear in its renditions throughout every episode. It captures this game's intentions and themes perfectly. Clementine, a little kid that is naive and kind, has her childhood ripped from her, has nothing left except for one guy who owns his life to her. Lee, a criminal sent to jail that receives another, yet horrific chance to a new life by redeeming himself and making up for a childhood that Clementine will never have. It's not only Alive Inside, but the whole soundtrack is fucking phenomenal. It made it so much more heart-wrenching once it was heard again, a real life year later in the second season. On to gameplay next. Now, games like this, the ones that focus on narrative and cutscenes, get criticized for their gameplay aspects, or lack thereof. I think that The Walking Dead is one step over the enough gameplay line. During dialogue segments, the player often gets a chance to choose what Lee says about any given matter. There are 4 options, which usually have an option that you'd like to say, or may as well stay silent.
Everyone chill the fuck out!
I think why these buttons sometimes don't have a certain response is because it simply wouldn't fit Lee's character. So Telltale made the most out of the least. Having 4 options and silence is already pretty good, as having even more would clutter the screen, resorting to giving more time to react, since the player has to read and decide, making it even more awkward how characters await for Lee's response in silence.
No.
Between cutscenes and dialogue, Lee's put in an environment which the player can explore. You directly assume control and can look around, usually finding objects that Lee can comment on.
I don't remember them very well.
People to talk to.
Are you guys alright?
We're just fine, considering.
Or items to pick up. Every episode has at least 2 areas like this or more. An example in the first episode would be Clementine's backyard and house interior, Herschel's farm, and then the drugstore with its exterior. Later episodes expand on this, having situations where Lee must do something in the environment around him to advance the story, while the player is controlling him. Back to episode 1, as said, while in the drugstore, you can walk around and inspect certain objects which has some relevance to the situation or the story. Pick up energy bars which can be given to anyone, as well as Clementine.
Thank you.
Of course.
You may also find batteries for Carly's radio, after which you get some dialogue and information about the story. Before that though, you're able to examine the radio and find out what's wrong, and later insert the batteries. It happens in first-person mode, to which the game switches often enough to vary things up. You get to shoot the cop in first person, you get punched to the face in first person, and there are a lot of other instances in later episodes. Later seasons never do this, with the exception of 5th episode of season 2. I suppose it's an artistic choice to directly put the player in Lee's shoes. There's also enough interaction with certain scenes, as for Lee dragging himself along the car requires player's input, picking the shotgun up and its shell. I think this is basically all Telltale could do to make it as interactive as possible. Player has enough control often enough, which later seasons start to lose that feeling. Season 1 justifies being a game, because I see no other way this specific story could work. It couldn't be a movie, a comic, a book, or a fucking song. You drag Lee out of the car, you meet Clementine, you get to decide whether Lee becomes an animal or a proper guardian to Clem. Lee won't protect Clementine without player's action. The core theme, you have a little girl to protect. What kind of human being are you going to be? Pushes The Walking Dead Season 1 over that line where we call it a game, and a damn good one at that.